Hello, Kevin.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good. How's it going today, bud?
Good. Well, congrats on the energetic new song. I got my face melted off a few times this morning, which was awesome, so thank you for that.
I love to hear that.
Well, and actually, you know me, I've already studied your lyrics and already know where some of the lyrics come from, but of course what I can't wait to dig into is this idea of we were born to be demon defiant. From your perspective, I'd love to hear your inspiration in creating another thematic album, and then how this song kind of invites us into that theme.
The song and the record, I think you are right in saying that it is thematic, and it wasn't necessarily that I sent out saying we're making a thematic album about X, Y, and Z, but I did know that there was certainly a lot that God has been, what's the right word, that God has been speaking to me, that I'm like, are so on my heart, and I've been speaking about them, of course, for about a year and a half, and even more during this last year. It feels like it's ramping up. And I did pray that God would give me some songs, speak to the moment. And I think that what I would say is, in general, you always feel like that God has inspired your songs, you hope. You always feel like that you're singing about something that matters. But I would say that this album feels more like we're right. This album is for this moment. It's like directly speaking to what is happening in culture in a way that I don't quite remember if we've ever done before. I'm not saying that we haven't, but it definitely feels different. It feels like more than just writing what's on my heart. It feels like this sort of, I don't know if you want to call it prophetic edge, if that's the right way to say it, but it feels like this is what's going on, and this is what I believe is happening behind the curtain in the spiritual realm, in the spiritual warfare. And I even said to the day, I think defiance is a theme of the record. It's a very defiant record. And that's a defiance, I think, towards a great many things. And one of those things is a defiance to fear. And fear kind of doesn't just manipulate you, but fear makes you think irrationally. And I'm finding that we are in a really irrational time, even for those of us who love the Bible, and even for those of us who read the Bible. This fear can make you think things that are irrational, and you can forget the things that you know. And I've found that in my own life when dealing with issues, with people, or, whatever it may be. I mean, you could talk about, it could be literal things like pandemics and, COVIDs and lockdowns, or it could be very spiritual things, such as a lot of the ensuing depression that is hitting a lot of people. That's more of an internal struggle, right? An internal struggle of alcoholism and the rates of suicide I've seen in young girls that are, on the rise. And my kids are still teenagers, so they still have friends who are incredibly depressed over the last year, that they just don't have anything to live for. They don't know what to do. Their whole world has crashed down, and they don't have an anchor, And of course, we know that anchor is Christ, and we know that the truth of Christ will set you free. You will have a peace when you are, I guess you'd say, close to the Prince of Peace. But without the Prince of Peace, I really don't know how people make it. So anyway, those are all the things that I think go into this record. So it is a defiance towards fear. It's a defiance towards groupthink. Me having to repeat everything that, the culture tells me I must in order for me to, be able to have a business or to thrive, or for some people to keep their jobs. They're being forced to say or do things that they do not believe in on all sorts of levels. And it's defiance towards that group thing. And I think that for somebody like you and your audience would know that it is also a defiance towards what I believe is a increasingly secularist ideology that is taking over a culture, even taking over some large swaths of the Christian church that is becoming less biblical and more secular. And I think it's in defiance towards that. It's in defiance towards the idea that as Christians we should be comfortable with pluralism.